Welcome to my channel, Finance Seekho. You might have noticed sometimes that it's really difficult to say no to certain people, even if you really don't want to do the favor that they are requesting. Now, there is a science behind why it happens. One of the reasons might be that the person asking you the favor is naturally very persuasive or maybe knows the way to persuade you. Persuasion is a technique to make people say yes to your request or idea and make them do what you really want them to do. It's one of the most powerful skills to learn and master if you want to achieve success in any field of your life. Persuasion techniques are used everywhere nowadays, from a normal salesman to billion-dollar companies selling their products, and even by politicians. Caution: please don't use the information given in this video to manipulate people or for any evil purpose. As there is a famous saying by Abraham Lincoln, you can fool some people for some time, but not all people all the time. Don't make a bad reputation of yourself if you want long-term success. Use these techniques only for mutual benefits. Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion is a book recommended by billionaire Charlie Munger, and it's one of the best books I've come across on the topic of persuasion. So, let's begin. During the course of evolution, the human brain has developed shortcuts for making decisions quickly and saving energy. These shortcuts are nothing but triggers. In today's world, our brains use these triggers more than ever. As our brains are flooded with information from various sources and we don't have enough time and energy to analyze all of it, we often make decisions based on these triggers and not the real facts as we think we do. And all of this happens at a subconscious level, so we aren't aware of it. There are basically 8 triggers discussed in this book that influence our decisions and are used for persuasion. Number 1. Scarcity. Going back thousands of years, survival was very difficult. The most important resources for survival were scarce, so naturally, humans grew an attraction towards scarce resources because we needed them urgently. Even after thousands of years, that sense of urgency is still present in our brains. We are more likely to get attracted to certain things whose availability is limited, and we often take action to get it if we feel that we could lose that thing. Companies use this fact extensively. For example, companies create limited edition products not because they can't make more but because it triggers the customer to buy since it is scarce and not available in abundance. Similarly, big restaurants usually put less food on plates. Advertisers use terms like hurry, offer valid only for today, and so on. This concept can be used in all aspects of life. In love life, dating gurus often advise people to not always be available to their crush during the initial period to build attraction and avoid getting friend-zoned. Number 2. Reciprocity. Reciprocity is a really powerful mechanism of the brain. Humans have a deep internal need to settle things with each other to make things fair. So, if you do a favor for someone, they will feel compelled to return it with a favor. On the flip side, if you do something bad, you might get something worse in return. Give and you shall receive. For example, if someone gives you a gift on your birthday, you are more likely to give them a gift on their birthday. In business, there's a multimillion-dollar organization called Hare Krishna that makes a lot of money through donations. One way they do this is by approaching people at airports and pinning a flower to their clothes. Even if you say you don't want it, they insist you take it as a gift. Once you accept that gift, they immediately ask if you would like to donate some money to their organization. Now, it becomes really hard for the person to say no, as we have the urge to settle things, and most people end up donating due to this fact. Number 3. Concession. An example from the book explains this concept clearly. Once, when the author was at an airport, a boy came up to him and asked him to buy a ticket for an event. The author wasn't interested, so he refused. After the denial, the boy asked him to buy a chocolate instead, which was much cheaper than the ticket. The author bought the chocolate without hesitation, but after the boy left, he realized something strange. Why did he buy the chocolate when he didn't really like chocolate that much in the first place? This demonstrates the concept of concession. When someone asks you for a large request and, after you deny, counters with a smaller request, you are more likely to accept the smaller request. Number 4. Commitment and consistency. People have a desire to appear consistent in their behavior, and they appreciate consistency in others. If you make someone commit to something small initially, you are more likely to get them to commit to bigger actions later on. Using these facts, persuasion becomes possible. For example, an experiment involved a group of people being given cancer awareness buttons and being asked to wear them for a week. It was a harmless request, so most agreed. Some time later, these same people were asked to give a donation to help fight cancer. Not surprisingly, this group not only donated but gave much more than other groups. Why? Because wearing the button for a week made cancer fighting a small part of their identity. They were now more likely to behave as a cancer fighter would. Similarly, a charity gets people to sign a petition not so much to influence others but to increase their commitment to the cause. Here's another example. Toy companies use this principle in a clever way. What happens is that a toy gets heavily advertised. Children get excited and ask their parents to buy it for Christmas. After some consideration, parents agree and commit to buying it. When they go to the store, they discover that the toy is out of stock. They check other stores but find that it's unavailable everywhere. This is done purposely by companies and stores. So what do? They buy other toys to compensate and apologize to their child. Suddenly, in January, the toy arrives in stores. Children notice and ask their parents to buy it. This is when consistency kicks in, and parents feel compelled to purchase the toy. Number 5. Social proof. I'm sure you might have noticed something like in this example. A study in New York City was done where some people were told to look up on the 6th floor of a building, continuously, and see what happens. 45% of passers-by stopped if one person was looking up, while 85% of the passers-by stopped if 15 people were looking up. A similar experiment was aborted when so many people were looking up that they stopped the traffic. This principle is based on the fact that we copy what others do, especially when we are unsure what to do. If situations are critical, we will follow anyone who seems to know what they are doing. So basically, show people how others already do what you want them to do. In alarming research, it was found that highly visible news about suicides results in an increase in suicide rates. This type of suicide is called copycat suicide if you search on Wikipedia, which happened even in India some years ago, where news particularly about children committing suicide due to depression increased the number of children committing suicide. On a positive side, this principle of social proof was used to treat young children who were afraid of dogs. The treatment was very simple. They merely watched a boy playing happily with a dog for 20 minutes a day. After only 4 days, 67% of the children got over that fear and started playing with the dog themselves. When everyone is laughing, you also laugh. Canned laughter that we hear in most comedy shows actually helps the joke appear much funnier than it actually is. Advertisers often tell us that their product is the largest selling, fastest growing, etc. Number 6. Authority. We refer to people who seem superior to us. We are brought up to obey authorities, initially parents and later teachers, police, ministers, managers, and so on. Such authorities have the power of command, telling us what to do. A key reason we do this is because we believe that there will be a negative consequence if we disobey, which is not always true. The 3 factors that trigger the authority principle are: titles. A title before a person's name increases their persuasion capabilities. Titles like Dr., Professor, PhD, President, Chairman, Founder, CEO, and experts have an impact on us. Clothes. Similarly, people wearing certain uniforms, suits, and religious outfits, worn by pastors, monks, nuns, priests, also have an impact. Trappings. These are accessories that define certain positions, roles of a person, example, badges, expensive suits, nice cars, etc. They give us the feel that the person using them is an authority who needs to be obeyed. Now, looking at an example for this. The expert behind these principles of persuasion, Robert Cialdini PhD, is a fine example. Those who read about him for the first time would instantly perceive him as a person with extensive knowledge. In an experiment, nurses were told to do certain things that were completely against hospital rules, but they still did all of them. Why? Just because they were told to do so by a doctor who was actually a fake doctor used just for the experiment. This shows how easily people can get manipulated by this trigger. A business-related example of using this concept is when companies use experts, engineers, doctors, etc. to advertise their products. Number 7. Liking. It's so hard to say no to a beautiful girl or a cute guy asking you a favor. This is because people are more likely to be influenced by things or people that they like. Since liking has such a fundamental impact on relationships, it is often used as a powerful tool for persuasion. You can dramatically increase the chances of making people comply with your request, sell, or persuade them if they like you in the first place. Now comes the main question: how to make someone like you? There are various factors on which you can work. Physical attractiveness: try to always look as good as possible. Good looks also suggest other favorable traits, i.e., honesty, humor, trustworthiness. Similarity: find similarities between you and the person. We like people similar to us in terms of interests, opinions, personality, background, etc. Compliments: give compliments. People love to receive praise and tend to like those who give it, surprisingly even if they know it's false. Contact and cooperation: how often they see you can also have an impact, and how well you cooperate with them. Conditioning and association: try to associate yourself with good things and people. We like looking at models, and thus become more favorable towards the cars behind them. Now you know how pretty girls or hot models end up in most of the commercials for any product, including pens and even cement. A real-world example of our irrational thinking because of this principle is our love for pandas. They are cute, fluffy animals on which billions of dollars are spent to save them from going extinct. Now, it's a really noble deed. Even I don't want to see a world without pandas. But the real problem is that there are thousands of other species at the edge of extinction. Many of these other species are easier to save and are much more important for our ecosystem and indirectly ourselves, but we are not getting enough money and resources to save them. Why? Just because they are not as cute as pandas. That's how liking works. If two girls have committed the same crime and are given to normal people for their judgment, they will be softer on the girl who is beautiful. Number 8. Reasoning. When asking someone to do us a favor, we will be more successful if we provide a reason with the request. For example, a Harvard psychologist did an experiment where she approached people in a line who were just about to use the Xerox machine and requested that person to let her use the Xerox machine in 3 different ways, which got her different results. In the first way, she asked, "Can I use the machine because I'm in a rush?" 90% agreed. In the second way, she just asked, "Can I use the machine?" and 60% agreed. That's why it's always better to just try and ask. In the third way, she asked, "Can I use the machine to take Xerox?" Surprisingly, 90% again agreed. So, it concluded that giving a reason increases the chances of your request getting accepted. Even I have personally used the power of reasoning on many occasions, and it really works. Once, I had to visit a doctor. When I went there, many people were already waiting. I had to prepare for my exams, so I didn't want to waste my time. I requested them to let me go first as I wanted to go and prepare for exams. With just a small bit of hesitation, all of them agreed. These were the 8 triggers that I discussed briefly in this video. You can learn about them in much more detail from the book, or if you want, just let me know in the comments which trigger you would like to see in detail as a separate video in the future.